Thank you all for coming. We're delighted by this turnout. This is a terrific turnout. I'm sure the largest we've had in Boston, though I don't have data to prove it, and you have to be careful about making claims like that in front of a Carnegie Mellon audience. But until someone tells me otherwise, it's the biggest turnout we ever had in Boston. This panel, which we'll get to in due course, is something I'm very excited about, and you'll see why. These are 5-star faculty who not only are stars in terms of the research and teaching they do, but they're tremendously engaging. They like each other, which is good. They interact well together. And this stuff is phenomenal. It truly is the future. And you'll see why Carnegie Mellon is as great as it is, though you know that, but sort of today's version is as great as it is. It's also particularly fitting that we hold such a futuristic, pioneering, path-breaking panel here in Boston. Boston has been declared the #1 research center in America by none other than Atlantic Magazine, a definitive source. It's no doubt true, and it's no doubt true because of the many, one has to say, so-so universities that exist here in the Boston area. But it's also true because of the very significant population of Carnegie Mellon alumni in the Boston area. In fact, with 3,000 Carnegie Mellon alumni, Boston is 4th in terms of the number of our graduates outside of Pittsburgh. So you are really very significant to us in many ways. And I'm not joking when I say that you are very much a reason why Pittsburgh, what a slip, why Boston would be such an important research and technology center. One of the ways we think about this is 3,000 is a big number to us. It's not so big for a lot of universities. We think of Carnegie Mellon and Carnegie Mellon people as having disproportionate impact. It's a great phrase, and I think one that's apt. We're not a large university, but we have an impact. We fight above our weight. That's one way someone once put it. We are a striving, scrappy place, and we have an impact bigger than our size. This shows up in many ways. So here in Boston, here are 2 examples because I like them because they bracket so nicely Carnegie Mellon, what it's all about. On the one hand, the world's largest car-sharing service is led by Scott Griffith, the CEO. Scott, that Zipcar I'm talking about, who is a engineering graduate from Carnegie Mellon of 1981. At the same time, as you probably know, Boston Pops, the famous Boston Pops, is led by Keith Lockhart, a graduate of our School of Music of 1983. So there you are. Business and music, science and the arts, technology and the arts, and it's happening here in Boston as well. And of course, I could say the same thing about every sector one might want to look at. The impact of Carnegie Mellon around the world, though, is something we're also proud of, not just here in Boston. Pittsburgh has become and continues to grow as a center for the technology and knowledge economy, and something I'll say more about later. At the same time, your university has become global, and very global in the last 5 or 10 years. In addition to our campus in Pittsburgh, we now have campuses in Silicon Valley, in Doha, in Qatar, and in Adelaide, Australia. And we have graduate programs in more than 14 countries, and we're in advanced discussions about creating campuses in 3 more. This is something that is new for us, something that's very exciting, and something that has really expanded the Carnegie Mellon impact and footprint. In fact, we think it's a major reason why we were ranked number 20 by the Times of London. This is notable. You may know that for the U.S. News rankings, which ranks only American universities, we're ranked 22nd. But the Times of London ranks us 20th in the world. You can reconcile that. You could try. Some kind of quantum effect that I haven't figured out yet. And again, this is reflective of our impact that is bigger than our size. A couple of other examples, which not only, again, show our impact, but, again, the two sides of our brain. How many universities can claim that they had 3 of their people win Nobel Prizes in the last 2 years, which we did? And at the same time, last month, we had 7 alumni nominated for Tony Awards. 3 Nobel Prizes, 7 nominations. We probably won't get 7 awards, but we'll get some. How many universities can say that? And that is Carnegie Mellon. I'm talking about alumni here, by the way, not current faculty or current students. These are all alumni, both the Nobel Prize winners and the Tony Award nominees. Carnegie Mellon has changed in a lot of ways. I know some of you have not been back in a long time because I asked you. Shame on you. Come back to Pittsburgh, bring your spouse to show him or her the wonderful campus that you graduated from, and rediscover Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh in the process. And you'll see great changes. It's great to see, both on campus and in the city. But one thing I want you always to keep in mind is as much as we've changed, and as much as we will continue to change, we're Carnegie Mellon after all, we're still based on the same core values that shaped the university that you attended no matter when you attended it, or that you will attend. We have a lot of accepted freshmen, new freshmen in the audience tonight. The same core values. Hard work. Yes, future freshmen, new freshmen, you will work like dogs when you come to Carnegie Mellon. It's true. Hard work, which we see as a virtue. My heart is in the work is our slogan. Problem solving, interdisciplinary collaboration, and teamwork and innovation. That's what Carnegie Mellon has been about for at least 60 years and arguably 110 years. That has not changed, and I can guarantee you won't change because those are the values on which our success has been built. Tonight, our focus is on an aspect of, what is the title we used? Human and artificial intelligence, or human versus artificial intelligence. This is part of a broader initiative at Carnegie Mellon that we call Brain, Mind, and Learning. And I'll say more about it later, but you'll be hearing much more about it from the panel and much better than I can ever talk about it. But that's only one. There are 2 other major initiatives I want you to know about. One is energy and the environment, something that thankfully virtually every major research university in the country is working on, and Carnegie Mellon is no exception. We already have great strengths in this, but we want to build on those, and in particular focus Carnegie Mellon on the major challenge of the transition from what is now a fossil fuel-based economy to what will replace it in the future. This is going to be a very hard transition. It's going to take a very long time, several decades, but it's essential. And it's going to happen. One way or another, it's going to happen. Carnegie Mellon has a great deal to contribute in technology, in science, in management, and in policy. And the great Carnegie Mellon strength, of course, is we're able to work across those domains together. You'll be hearing about, in the next year or so, next several months, the launching of a new Energy Futures Institute, which will be focused on just that. The other area I want to mention is data-intensive computing, or what we call fondly computational X. The notion being that this problem of dealing with massive data sets, internet-scale data, so-called, is one that cuts across virtually every field. It certainly has become the dominant way, or a dominant mode, for the way science is done. But it's also the case in business, in marketing, in government, for those governments sophisticated enough to realize this, where the age of massive data sets is with us. And the question is, what can you extract from it? Well, this is something that Carnegie Mellon is extremely strong in and has been for many years. And we call it computational X because we think X can be equal to just about anything. And we've created already major efforts in computational biology, computational finance. Our new thrust in physics is in cosmology, and it's all about computation. We have a new effort in computational social science with our Heinz College in the lead, but with computer science and others involved, and the list goes on. But at the same time, we want to be the place, and will be the place, that takes the lead in designing the next generation of computers and software that one needs to do a proper job of analyzing this data. So, brain, mind, and learning, energy and environment, computational X. These are major thrusts that we are involved in. This kind of activity is indicative of a very vibrant university, a university that continues to move forward, leap forward, a place that attracts phenomenal people, including new freshmen. And new freshmen, congratulations, welcome almost. I'll be standing in front of you and your families in mid-August when you move in and say welcome truly then. We're delighted to have you. And it's a privilege to be admitted to Carnegie Mellon. The numbers are remarkable, actually daunting, even frightening if you're a member of our admissions office. We had more than 12 applicants for each slot. And the quality and credentials of the students are really remarkable. It's no surprise that we have students with perfect SAT scores and perfect straight A's and all of that. It is a little bit disturbing that we have an awful lot of students with perfect SAT scores and straight A's who we rejected, and more in that category. But all this speaks of is the tremendous demand and interest in Carnegie Mellon and the wonderful students that we get. One of the reasons there is great interest in Carnegie Mellon, no doubt, is because students, or at least their parents, want them to go to a place where they have a good shot at getting a job when they graduate. And I think more and more students are very sensitive to this. Carnegie Mellon is surely such a place. It's not for nothing that we were ranked 10th by the Wall Street Journal for a good place by recruiters, basically, and the most highly ranked private university. Very interesting. Public universities are ranked higher because they're bigger, and recruiters like to go places where there are a lot of students. There aren't a lot of students at Carnegie Mellon, but the value that they know they get, the quality, is enough to bring them there. Not only are we attracting great people, but increasingly we're attracting great companies to Pittsburgh. Just last month, I participated in the opening of a Pittsburgh office for Lockheed Martin, which has opened this office to work on cybersecurity with Carnegie Mellon. If you followed the paper, the news recently, you know Lockheed Martin needs a research center on cybersecurity, and we're glad they chose us to work with us. They're just the latest in quite an impressive list of companies that have set up very significant centers in Pittsburgh. Google opened their engineering center in Pittsburgh about 5 years ago in a building we built on the edge of campus called the Collaborative Innovation Center, specifically to attract technology companies to open offices in Pittsburgh. Google was one of the first tenants. They've grown so fast and so much they had to move out. And now they occupy office space in something called Bakery Square, which was the old Nabisco plant in East Liberty. Now, in front of a lot of audiences, when I say that, I get gasps, as in, Google in East Liberty? Maybe you didn't understand me, because if you're Pittsburghers, I know I'm supposed to say Sliberty is the way you pronounce East Liberty. It's a remarkable thing. It's a great thing. And we don't feel bad about Google moving out because Disney moved in, a Disney lab, yes, joining Intel, Apple, and a Microsoft lab in the Collaborative Innovation Center. It's a tremendous story. At the same time, we've been working to increase the number of companies we start. In fact, we've been so successful at this, we're now second in the country in terms of the number of startups per dollar of sponsored research. And all of this, of course, contributes to the great progress that Pittsburgh has made. We are very keen on continuing to promote innovation and company creation in Pittsburgh and everywhere for that matter. And I was delighted to announce at commencement that Jonathan Kaplan, one of our alums who was the founder of Flip video camera, if you're below 30, you know what I'm talking about. So he became very successful. He created a fund, I announced, that will be strictly for the purpose of funding startups by young alumni. So if you graduated within the last 5 years, you are eligible for this. And all you got to do is contact us. It's called Open Field Entrepreneurship Fund. Go to our web. I don't know if it's up on the web yet, but it will be. Just check. This is just one of many things we're doing to promote Carnegie Mellon as a place for innovation. Jonathan's story is a great one, and Jonathan giving back is a great story as well. And one thing I want to make sure I convey to you, alumni and the alumni participation in the university by giving money, but by participating in events like this, by coming back, by interacting with current students. I hope you met our Highland ambassadors. Where are you, Highland ambassadors? All the way in the back. They should be up front. They're gorgeous the way young people are and very exciting and full of energy. These are current students who have put themselves sort of into the mix by actively interacting with alumni in this way. Our students love to interact with alumni. Your support for that, your support for what the university does, not just with money, but with your own participation, this is what helps universities be great. Now, your money is important. There's no question about that. Not just in terms of funds like the one that Jonathan Kaplan set up, but frankly, the business model for universities is very simple. Everything we do loses money, and the way we make up the loss is through gifts from alumni. It's that simple. That's why endowments and annual giving are so important to universities, and why those universities with large endowments do better than others with smaller ones. And that's why part of our campaign is so focused on endowment. I'll come back to that and close with that in a minute. But first, I want to acknowledge some of the people, alumni, who are involved with the university in exceptional ways. We have 3 trustees here tonight, and I want to acknowledge their presence. Bill Ellis, Dick Hamilton, and Lowell Steinbrenner, all alumni, all trustees, and they all traveled a long way to be with us. Gentlemen, if you don't mind standing up, we'd like to recognize you. They even stick together, you see, and that makes me a little bit nervous when my bosses are conferring like that. I want to acknowledge Kevin again for his contributions to our Alumni Association Board and all those from around the country and the world who do. The Boston Alumni Group is very active, and we're delighted by that. And I want to acknowledge the leadership who are with us tonight, Kevin again, Myron Lewis, Bruce Kessrell, and Jay Snyder. And anybody else on the board that I might have missed, if you'd stand up so we can recognize you. Leaders. Thank you. There's Myron. And finally, some of my colleagues, other than the faculty involved in the panel, traveled with me, other leaders of the university, and I want to acknowledge them. John Lahoske, the Dean of the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, and his wife, Mary Lou, and Robbie Kosak, the Vice President for University Advancement. Colleagues, would you stand up so people can see you? There's Robbie. Our capital campaign is doing very well. We've raised well over $700 million, but we have a goal of $1 billion. We're sort of in the home stretch. We are committed to raising $286 million in the next 2 years. And it's going to happen if our alumni and our friends step up the way they have in the first part of this campaign, and I know that we can count on you. We've been very fortunate that this campaign has had exceptional leadership. Ray Lane, who now is chairman of our board of trustees and a managing partner at Kleiner Perkins, was the prior chair of the campaign, and now Ed Frank has succeeded him. Ed is a vice president for engineering at Apple, and he currently chairs the campaign. Both are members of the board of trustees. I'd like to invite your attention to this short video, which will say a little bit more about the university and the campaign.
At Carnegie Mellon University, innovation is part of our DNA. We are defined by our creative spark, tireless work ethic, and commitment to problem solving. We bring multi-talented dream teams together like no one else can. We set the standard for engineering education. We helped establish the field of artificial intelligence. We created the first internet search engine. We continue to revolutionize business education and train generations of artists, composers, and actors. At Carnegie Mellon, students are deeply involved in research. We push the envelope with new educational models that anticipate emerging professions and the changing world. Mentored by our premier faculty, students can explore and combine disciplines in new ways. We produce students who think creatively, who are well-grounded in their field and more apt to lead. They are architects of change. At every stage of our evolution, our innovations have been made possible by philanthropy that prizes guts and audacity. That's why we're asking you to join Inspire Innovation, the campaign for Carnegie Mellon University.
Now is a critical time for this campaign. It is something we all can work to achieve. It is something that will add a tremendous amount to our endowment.
When you think about what can I go do to help the world position itself for the future, there's probably no better place to put your time, energy, and ultimately money than into universities, because these are the places that are educating students, that are doing the research that really shape the world to come. By investing in the university today, you have an opportunity to accelerate that. You have an opportunity to take this and put it on an even greater exponential ramp for success and impact.
A major goal of Inspire Innovation is to build our endowment. You can help us do this by supporting any of the university's priority areas. Your support through scholarships, fellowships, and other student life initiatives will enable us to educate the best and the brightest students. You can help us retain world-class faculty by supporting endowed professorships and funds for faculty startup and research. By investing in annual giving programs, unrestricted funds, and support for our libraries, you can help us sustain breakthrough innovations. Finally, additional funding for new and renovated facilities will renew the campus, support research, and enhance student life.
The world is filled with problems, and Carnegie Mellon is the ultimate innovative problem-solving university. We thrive on that. The harder the problem, the more important the problem, the better Carnegie Mellon responds.